People flatten Macbeth into one word: ambition. That is too neat. After the first murder, fear does most of the driving.
Yes. Ambition gets him to Duncan's chamber. Fear takes over once Duncan is dead. If you miss that shift, you miss the play getting darker and more violent.
So, the usual reading is not exactly wrong, it is just incomplete.
And the missing part matters. A man chasing power is one thing. A man trying to hold stolen power while panic spreads through his mind is much worse.
Start at the beginning. Before the murder, Macbeth does want the crown. But does he look like a cold planner?
No. He hesitates, argues with himself, and tries to back out. He lists reasons not to kill Duncan. That is not the behavior of a calm machine. He wants the prize, but he is afraid of the act.
Then, he does it. And the instant Duncan is dead, the mood changes.
Exactly. He does not look satisfied. He looks wrecked. He hears voices. He fixates on sleep. He stares at his bloody hands as if they have turned into evidence that will never go away.
That matters because ambition should feel like forward motion. Macbeth feels stuck at once.
Right. He has crossed the line, but instead of becoming secure, he becomes unstable. He cannot even return the daggers to Duncan's room. Lady Macbeth has to finish the immediate cover-up.
So the first murder does not calm him. It teaches him something worse.
It teaches him that killing for power does not end danger. It multiplies it. Once Duncan is dead, Macbeth has the crown, but he also has witnesses, suspicion, prophecy, and his own fear.
And that is where Banquo becomes a problem.
Not because Banquo is openly attacking him. He is not. Macbeth fears Banquo because Banquo knows about the witches, keeps his judgment clear, and carries the prophecy that his children will be kings.
So this is not random cruelty. Macbeth is trying to destroy a threat before it grows.
Yes, but the threat is partly real and partly imagined. That is how fear works in a play. Banquo has qualities Macbeth lacks: calm, patience, and a mind he cannot control.
Which is why he hires murderers instead of doing it himself.
And notice the change. Duncan's murder needed pressure from Lady Macbeth. Banquo's murder is Macbeth's own idea. He plans it in secret. He lies to his wife about it. Fear is making him more active, more suspicious, and less human.
But even that does not solve the problem.
No. Banquo is killed, but Fleance escapes. Macbeth gets exactly the result fear always produces in this play. Partial control, no peace. Then, Banquo's ghost appears at the banquet, and Macbeth falls apart in public.
That scene is crucial because it shows fear breaking politics, not just nerves.
Yes, he is king, surrounded by nobles, trying to display authority. Instead, he raves at an empty chair. The mask slips. A tyrant does not only kill people, he also destroys trust. His rule starts to look weak because fear has made him unstable.
So when people say Macbeth becomes ruthless, that is true, but it can sound too clean, too efficient.
Exactly. He is ruthless, but not composed. He keeps using violence because he is frightened of losing what he stole. That is why the killings spread. Fear keeps generating new enemies, and then he tries to kill those enemies too.
That is how he turns from murderer into tyrant.
Yes, look at what happens next. He goes back to the witches for more certainty. He clings to their promises. Then he orders the slaughter of Macduff's wife and children, not because they threaten him in that moment, but because fear has become policy.
That murder is especially ugly because it shows the logic has collapsed. He cannot reach Macduff, so he punishes the family.
And that is tyranny in the play's plainest form. Power is no longer being used to rule. It is being used to strike at whatever frightens him.
Which also leaves him alone.
Completely. Lady Macbeth is no longer his partner in any real sense. He shuts her out. The nobles turn against him. Scotland is described as suffering under him. Fear has not protected his crown. It has emptied his world.
So, if ambition starts the tragedy, fear accelerates it.
That is the point. Ambition opens the door. Fear keeps him walking through it, step after step, into worse violence, worse judgment, and worse isolation.
And that is why the simple ambition reading is too soft.
Yes, Macbeth does not just want power. He becomes terrified of losing power, terrified of exposure, terrified of prophecy, terrified of rivals. And fear makes him more dangerous than ambition ever could.
So, the play is not showing a cool operator climbing to the top.
It is showing a man who murders for the crown, then rules like someone being hunted by his own crime. Macbeth is not destroyed by ambition alone. He is driven into tyranny by fear.